back, reboot.
You bet.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I couldn't be happier.
Yes. Tell me about it. What's going on?
I mean, we've got everything that the old games had, and then some new stuff thrown in. It's been. I'm actually as big a fan as you are of SSX, and it's been incredibly daunting and intimidating to bring back this amazing franchise. But we're doing our best, and we think we have a really awesome game. I think SSX fans are just going to love it.
Cool. So let's start from the ground up. Obviously, we could talk about all the modes, but I'm an SSX fan. So characters.
Yes.
I can't remember the names of them all, but I know what they look like.
Sure. Right? Who is your favorite?
The guy with the massive afro.
Eddie.
There you go. Yes. Eddie. Eddie's back, right?
Yes, Eddie is back. Eddie's actually an exclusive pre-order for us. If you order the game from GameStop, you get Eddie.
So are all the characters back?
Well, I mean, if you look at all the characters in SSX, they've changed from iteration to iteration. So we basically decided to follow the same formula SSX has always followed, which is we're going to bring back some of the staple, fan favorite, best characters that we can. We're also going to throw a few new ones into the mix. So we introduce a few new characters as well. We actually got our fans to vote on what characters that they want to have back. You should have voted for Eddie.
I should have.
But we got our characters to vote on our fans to vote on characters that they wanted to come back, and we use those results to determine what our roster was going to be.
Okay, cool. And is the character select screen still like the twirling sort of, they're in the blocks or
It's a little more updated from that, but yes, you still can select your characters and watch them do some cool stuff.
And all your races still start from the blocks of, there was a speed boost that I remember that you
they do not. We don't have the typical starting gate that we had before. One of the reasons is because in some of our online stuff and in our global events, we support thousands of people going down the mountain at the same time. It would take a ridiculously huge starting gate to be able to do that. So basically, we drop you out of a helicopter. You can be competing against other people who are dropping out of helicopters, or everybody will be on the snow.
That's a lot more expensive.
Yes. No, there aren't 1,000 helicopters out there. Let's just clear that up.
Rivals, are they back?
Rivals are back, not in the way that they were in Tricky. So, interestingly, as a Tricky fan,
you'll notice that most of these questions are based on Tricky.
Yeah, no, it's fine. There's a fundamental difference between Tricky and SSX3. SSX3 went to really big open mountains, something that our fans were asking for this game as well. They wanted huge mountains to be able to explore. Tricky were very tight, narrow courses.
Yes.
So in Tricky, there was also really heavy catch-up logic, like really heavy rubber banding. So no matter what happens, how fast or how slow you're going, there's always a pack of characters around you. So it made a lot of sense to have knockdowns and friends and foes and the whole rivalry system in SSX3 and also in this one, because the mountains are so big. You don't get as much of that intimate head-to-head, like people being closely around. So we didn't invest heavily in combat and the types of things because it's not something that can happen a lot because our mountains are so huge.
So shoves are gone?
Shoves are gone, yes. You can still obviously knock into people and knock them over, but you don't actually punch them in the face. You can steer yourself into them.
Okay, cool. So it's less aggressive than previous SSX titles were?
Sure, yes.
So you now can make
fair
friends.
statement. Sure, there you go.
Perfect. So, bigger world in SSX now with the Avalanche level, all the Survive It modes, right?
Yeah.
So, you're on your own for these, correct? Or is it some of them a race?
No, you're on your own for those. Interestingly, though, what we found with the Survive It events is it's an interesting challenge the first few times that you go down. We actually have something also we call Survive Till You Die, which means we needed a way to for people who are playing multiplayer to be able to have a leaderboard. And otherwise, if it's just make it to the bottom alive, there's not a lot of replayability in that, and there's not a lot of, well, I did it and you did it, and who's better? So what we decided to do is give you the ability when you finish a survival event, if you make it all the way to the mountain alive, we actually just shuttle you right back up to the top again, and you keep going. And we keep a cumulative total of how far you've descended. So then that really good players can make it 3 or 4 times down before they run out of rewinds and eventually die. So that's the way Survive It works. And then we also found that with survival tracks, it's really fun to race them also. And it's actually really fun to try to do it for Trick Score. So in Explore and in global events, there's actually drops on the mountain, and if it was a survival track, often we give you a trick drop and a race drop so that you can actually play that exact same track with all the same things, the avalanche or whatever it might be, and you can play it head-to-head for speed or for trick points.
Perfect. Now, obviously, there's Autolog that EA has. You've got RiderNet, right?
Yes. Yeah, so RiderNet does, that's exactly the purpose of RiderNet, is to compare your results with friends, point you to say, hey, you've got a new rival here. You're, on that particular survival drop, for example, you made it 2,300 meters, maybe it is. If one of your friends goes on and they actually beat that, then RiderNet will give you an update saying you've got a new rival, and it'll actually point and give you little flag posts all the way down to that drop, or pop up a little indicator and say, I just want to go there right now, and it'll take you straight to the drop, and then you'll see a ghost of your friend's ride, and you can try to compete against that.
Love it.
Yeah.